All right, let's tackle some of these order of operations. Remember, we're always going to think about, and it's on your canvas, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Parentheses first, then exponents, then we multiply and divide left to right, and then last but not least, we add and subtract left to right. Okay, so let's try this one. We have a minus and we have a multiplication. We add and subtract last, so we're going to do the multiplication first. So I'm going to grab the numbers in front and behind that. Leave everything else alone, and then solve this one operation. So 3 times 2 is 6. 17 minus 6 is 11. Okay? All right, scooting on over. Now we have 3 operations. We have division, addition, and multiplication. We add and subtract less, so we're going to leave that alone, and we're going to multiply and divide left to right. So it doesn't matter which one comes first. Between multiplying and dividing, we're going to do the one on the left first. So 9 divided by 3 is 3. Then I leave everything else alone. Down to adding and multiplication, so I'm going to multiply first. Leave the adding alone. 4 times 6 is 24. 3 plus 24 is 27. Okay, next one. I've got multiplication, division, and addition. We're going to multiply and divide left to right, so we're going to do the one that's in front first. This isn't a mental math problem for me, so I'm going to do it on the side here. 18 times 8 is 144. So I have 144 and everything else stays the same. Now I'm down to divide and add, so we're going to divide first. 144 divided by 4. I'm going to do that on the side as well, just to make sure I'm doing this correctly. How many 4s go to 24? 6. So 4 divided by, or into 144 is 36. Then I'm left with 36 plus 15. I'm going to do that on the side as well, is 51. Okay, now we're going to do parentheses. Nope, none available, so exponents are next. 2 to the third power. 2 to the third power is not 2 times 3. It's the same thing as saying 2 times 2 times 2. 2, 3 different times. So 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8. So 2 to the third power is 8, and everything else is left alone. We always multiply before we add, so 8 times 2 is 16. Then I add the 3 to get 19. Okay, down to the next one. This one I have 2 sets of parentheses, so we're going to work left to right. What's in the parentheses first? 9 plus 2 is 11. Leave the multiplication alone and solve what's in these parentheses. 3 plus 1 is 4. So 11 times 4 is 44. In this one, you can see nested parentheses. So the parentheses inside other parentheses. So we're going to leave everything outside the parentheses alone and then solve the 2 parentheses inside first. So I'm going to do 4 plus 6 is 10. Leave the multiplication alone and solve 3 plus 1, which is also nested. These remain inside these outside parentheses right here. So I'm going to leave those alone. We're going to finish up what's inside the parentheses first, 40. Then we'll add what's on the outside. 40 plus 2 is 42. Okay? All right, next, let's take a look at these. Well, I have parentheses, so I always do those first. So we're going to do inside the parentheses, and we follow order of operations inside. Since they're both addition, we're just going to go left to right and leave what's outside of it alone. 6 plus 3 plus 2, this is 9 plus 2 is 11. Leave alone what's on the outside. I'm now left with adding and multiplication, so I'm going to multiply first. 11 times 2 is 22, and then we add 3 on the outside. 3 plus 22 is 25. Okay, so now our last and hardest one is our long statement here. We have multiplication, addition, parentheses, an exponent, more multiplication, addition, and division. Parentheses always comes first. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. So let's do parentheses first. We're going to leave everything that's outside of those parentheses exactly the same. Now inside the parentheses we have to follow order of operations. I see exponents, so we're going to do that first. 5 to the second power is the same thing as 5 times 5. So 5 times 5 is 25 times 2. We still have to finish up what's in those parentheses, so I'm going to leave everything else alone and solve this. 25 times 2 is 50. Once I have one value for inside the parentheses, I can get rid of them. Now we have multiply, plus, and divide. We always multiply and divide left to right. So my first is 9 times 2. So I have 18, and everything else stays the same. Now I'm down to adding and division. We always add, multiply, and divide before adding and subtracting, so we're going to do that first. 60 divided by 10 is 6. Leave everything else alone. Now we're left with just addition. We can go left to right. So I'm going to do 50 plus 18 is 68, and then add my 6 is 74. Good luck with your problems. If you have any trouble, you can go back and check these out for examples. There's a challenge assignment at the bottom of this page if you really feel like taking on a challenge with some brackets, some exponents, and even some negative numbers thrown in. Good luck.